what is our law firm doing in sustainability and environmental awareness?
There's a host of uncertainty and risk that is surrounding the environment. And the pandemic was a live example to such uncertainties. While the legal structure framework exists in India, there is no structured law that is around this subject matter. After a lot of work, me and my team realized that the best way to, sort of reach out here would be, you start at a very early age. And the right forum for that would be preschools. I'm a mother to a 3-year toddler, and I had this whole passion of introducing sustainability in his DNA. My child at home tells my domestic help, please use the trash to discard that. Do not collect it out there. And I know he's learned it from the school. I never taught him that. It is an immediate ask. It's an urgent situation.
It's not like we're not talking about our children's children. We're talking about our children will face environmental hardships if we don't act today.
Our children will face. It's not children.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Education Matters by JK. Today we've been joined by a very dynamic lawyer. She is Miss Sangeeta Jhunjhunwala, a partner at Khaitan Legal Associates. One of the most interesting thing about her job is she also heads sustainability and environmental awareness initiative called the Green Projects. And the more interesting part about this is that she's not teaching this to corporates, or of course they're most welcome to learn about this, or adults, but she's taken this right at a very amazing age, which is the early years, the age group that I work with extensively. And this is the first of its kind initiative that I've seen that somebody has thought of sustainability and environmental awareness, and they're taking it to children between the age group of 2 to 6. So let's understand what she's doing and let's talk to her. So let's welcome Miss Sangeeta. Miss Sangeeta, thank you very much. I know you're a busy lawyer, traveling all over the country, but thank you for removing time and talking to us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting Jitu. It's been a privilege to be invited. And I'm so looking forward to, our interaction, our conversation. It's always been a delight having a word with you. So look forward to speaking to you.
Same here.
So like you started with Jitu, taking it for toddlers between 2 to 6 years. Ideally, the journey actually started with corporates, continues to be with corporates, but it has extended and expanded to toddlers. And the rationale being that having interacted so extensively with corporates, clients, and all of the mass that's available to us, it is something that has to be ingrained in the thought process of every human being. And after a lot of work, me and my team realized that the best way to, sort of reach out here would be, you start at a very early age, and the right forum for that would be preschools.
Okay, so before we jump into preschool, first I have to wrap my head around what is a law firm doing in sustainability and environmental awareness. So let's start from there. What inspired you and your team to get into this initiative?
There are 3 important key elements that inspired us to sort of take this up. The first one being is we as lawyers, something that very naturally comes to us is responsibility, accountability. That is something very natural to us. So while we are so occupied in our day-to-day cause and what the work that we are into and the work pressures, one thing that we realized is that there is a host of, and this started somewhere pre-pandemic, I could say, there's a host of uncertainty and risk that is surrounding the environment. And the pandemic was a live example to such uncertainties, where we were rolling around our head to see, okay, what's going around, what's happening, where are we headed, what is the future, absolutely black and blank and not knowing where the future is going to be.
Very difficult time. I totally get it.
And that's where, uncertainty and risk became the buzzword for us.
So this is around 2021.
2021, that's right, 2021. And we started rolling our heads to see there's a lot more beyond what we are just seeing today. So, as lawyers, like I said, responsibility and accountability comes naturally to us. Rolled our head rolled up our sleeves, started to think around, okay, what is this subject that we have to build around, and we saw that's a lot to do with environment. A significant contribution to who we are, how we are, what we are being is something that is around environment, is something around what is called as social discipline, how we behave as human beings. That's where we saw that while the legal structure framework exists in India, there is no structured law that is around this subject matter. As lawyers and as a law firm, very, very extremely thankful to our managing partner, Mr. Saket Khaitan, who was willing to explore this journey, was able to foresight this future in the sustainability stream, and completely supported that, okay, develop, please go ahead, see what you're finding in it. Complete research with along with the team, having a very senior veteran alongside in co-founding this practice, Mr. Sanjeev Singhal. And we started doing a lot of research, and we found that it's a lawyer's responsibility and accountability. Predominantly, that's where we sort of got into the practice area.
So lawyer's responsibility, not only this, right? I mean, you are saying that lawyers do have a lot of responsibility towards
it's an add-on, I would say. It's an add-on. It's an integral part of the work that we do, which is completely missing. Like, see, one is, you look at it like a commercial practice stream, and which is obviously, business is important to all of us.
Correct.
But at the same time, there is something you need to do, you need to contribute to your society. As every human being, every citizen, every professional, you need to do that, right?
Correct.
And this was clubbed with being into the profession of lawyer, how you can give it a legal structure, legal framework, combine it with responsibility, introduce the subject, and the best way of doing it is, live with it as a practice area, create the practice area.
Right.
So that was the stemming part, and I would say the genesis of it is the uncertainty and risk we saw in the pandemic.
And yeah, every day we only hear bad things happening to the earth, right? Every day we hear some other problem. Now we are right now in the middle of a super El Nino, right? And,
Exactly.
And it's gonna sort of create, I mean, the report is that it's going to be bad for India for the next couple of years. Weather patterns are going to change. So I totally get what you're saying, but at the same time, we also feel helpless, right? What can we do? And I'm glad that you and your team, you all have thought of how you can start giving it back or teaching it to the children, so that they don't have to reach a stage like me where I don't know, like, what do I do to save the environment, right? So great initiative. So good story. I mean, I think lockdown made a lot of people think really hard about life. So how did this curriculum come about? How did this idea of working with young children come about? Because, I'm in this sector for the last 13 years now. Of course, it's a very fulfilling sector. You really enjoy working with them, but it's also very hard, right? Because certain concepts you can't teach a 2-year-old, certain concepts you can't teach a 5-year-old, right? And you can only teach them after a certain age. So where did the curriculum come from? Where did this idea that let's go to preschools and, involve them come from?
So, the work actually started with the corporates, and that continues to be so even today. I'm a mother to a 3-year toddler, and I had this whole passion of introducing sustainability in his DNA. The genesis of it is, I see him growing every single day. I want him to be himself and, sort of realize his responsibilities by himself. One thing what I found is, when I've been talking to corporates, sustainability is a very commercial topic in the outside world. How to get this introduced to human beings, that it is not about commerciality that we are talking about here. It is more about, how you can contribute to earth, to society, to,
make it more individual, personal
make
experience.
it more individual. And the best part and the best place to start with is always a school. Whatever you get from your early placements, from your foundation, from your childhood, I think the snapshots continue for a longer
Correct, yeah.
duration, right? It becomes, if you like the subject matter, it becomes a part of your DNA.
Yeah.
It's more about giving an exposure to the subject.
Hmm.
It was only that limited purpose which with we started. As a law firm, we found that it's not a very extraordinary revenue generating model. But the whole idea with which we fought is, one is in the charter that we have for our organization, contribution to society. So this was one best way that if we can create responsible, sustainable human beings as adults, that would be one significant contribution. And with that, like I said, clubbed with the passion, that to see every child at least have elements of sustainability in their DNA, in their growth process, and let them make it a choice for them. There is no thrust, there is no pursueness. It's absolutely freestyle. It's just an introduction and an exposure, and that's where we started with toddlers.
Okay. So, which brings me to a whole lot of questions, and I'm sure viewers. So, I'll tell you, typical viewers are educators, students, parents. So, sustainability is a very loaded word. A lot of people don't understand what sustainability is. So, let's start from there, right? Because the minute you say sustainability and toddlers, I think a lot of people might be getting
It's too heavy.
Yeah, too heavy, right? So, let's break it down. How are we introducing sustainability to 2-year-olds?
It starts with very simple activities, if I may say so. Just creating an awareness to start with, how beautifully, how actively, and how with lot of cognizance you can use soil, you can use water, you can use energy. Simple things, you walking from there to here, most of the schools, preschools, whatever you may call it, are ACs and water taps and flush tanks and all. Very, very simple concepts, like have two, in a flush tank, use the two model flush tanks, small tank, big tank, the two flushes that we use. So just allow a kid to press the small one, the small flush. So usage of water. If you press this, there will be little water. If you press this, there will be more water. So such simple things, so you just tell them, what is this? This is how you save water, sustainability in water. You switch off the AC, you switch off the fan, you switch off the light if you are moving out of that area. This is energy saving. Just teaching them, okay, you getting natural sunlight, allow that to be in your room. So this is sustainability to them, as simple. I'm telling you, for a 2 to 3-year-old, what sustainability means, because it's a massive word with loads of definition and loads of meanings attached to it. But how we do it for toddlers is, these are some concepts which we introduce to them, like once the school breaks are done, there's a lot of food, water left over. We just place some, earthen pots out there, put your food, put some soil on it, put your leftover food every day on day for next 7 days. You create a great manure out of it.
Correct.
How do you then plant a seed and fertilize the seed
Correct.
out of it?
Correct.
So it's a chain, in their regular being, as not any additional part of the study, but in their regular being, how you can integrate that, how you can align it to their existing subjects. That's how we introduce sustainability for, toddlers, because it's a heavy word, when, like you said, the viewers, the audience are educators, schools and parents, so for them it's as simple as that. And we start these techniques with toddlers because these can be very easily carried back home.
Correct. And these are simple habits. Switch off the light and go out of the room. I'm having trouble to teach my children. They're teenagers now.
I'm having
but
trouble
I'm sure
to teach my spouse on this.
that would be a different podcast. But yeah, I get it. These are simple habits. If we start early, then it becomes part of their second nature, right?
Yes.
It becomes part of their nature. It becomes
Yes.
part of their being.
Yes.
And then there's no need to give them long lectures or books on how to save the environment. It will become part of their being.
And therefore, if you see, we do not try to create very hardcore, strong curriculums around it. The moment you create curriculums around it, it becomes a formal structure. What we try to do is, we try to train teachers and educators around it. to say that, why you just integrate as a simple habit in their regular being, just create some biodiversity around, the school infrastructure. Like I said, the manure piece to you, it's as simple,
Yeah.
like, whatever the leftover water, please have it collected and, use it to plant the seed or plant, So it just helps, some saving of oil, saving of energy, saving of light. It's that sustainability. That is what sustainability means to them.
Yeah.
And I think this is something you can introduce at this age very easily. Going forward, as you keep growing, it's like you said, it's a habit that cultivates.
Yeah, it becomes part of their nature. So this is interesting. I remember one of the stories. One of my friend told me that in his factory, outside the canteen, the hand wash was actually connected to the garden. So it never used to go in the sewage drainage. What he did is he just attached that to the garden where they were growing fruit plants, including papayas and mangoes and all that. And after workers used to finish eating, they used to wash their hands, and the water used to be drained inside their garden, right? And that garden was growing some amazing fruits. And even the food wastage, as you said, they said we used to collect it and dump it. So it connects, and this was of course a factory which was doing it. But I think why not? This can be connected to schools as well. Any school can adopt this, right?
I'll give you a very simple example, Jitu. Sometime back in our research, we visited a place in Maharashtra called Palghar. You must have heard about it. We visited the farms out there. Excellent growing of fruits and veggies out there. Just wanted to understand, it's a dry area. Except for monsoons, it's a dry, it's a very heat driven area. Okay. During the pandemics, we realized Vidarbha is facing significant problems from water as well. And as soon as we could, we visited some farms in that area. What we realized is, the water that's coming to that area, there is no fresh water in the fields. It's all sewage and drainage water. And the farmers out there sold, and they were not so capable, I would say, financially to have lot of chemicals or fertilizers, to grow their fruits. And so it was all organic. And if you really see, we called, we sell at Juhu, we sell at down South Mumbai, these are organic vegetables, these are organic fruits and all coming from Palghars and externals of Maharashtra, and we buy it at exorbitant price. The entire field was being harvested not with rainwater, not with fresh water, but with sewage and drainage water. It was treated water, of course, because the government set up some treatment plants and out there, but it was entirely. So the example that you just gave me, that the factory water was being utilized to water the garden or the orchards or anything. I'm just trying to tell you that the water usage and recycling, and how it can, in simple, you don't need to put up very exorbitant machineries and exorbitant inventions and innovation. Simple techniques that can be introduced to show kids how energy, water, soil can be saved. I tell you, only these three things are saved, Earth will be a better place to live on.
Totally agree. So, no, I think it's a great initiative. So how many are you already working with schools? How many schools are you working with? How big has this initiative or this thing become so far? Or you've just launched it? At what stage are you?
So, one is formally we've just launched it. Currently we are working with two. We are facing challenges out because it's like I said, it has to be a part of DNA and understanding. Has to give it a thought to say this is a prerequisite for the coming generation to know. More than anything else, it's not like a structured learning process that has to be introduced with any of the NEP modules or anything. While we are seeking a lot of support from the government, we are doing a lot of thought policies, advocacy around it, in conversations with various education departments to see how this can be introduced as a formal subject. Because then, then it's maybe probably, the schools start taking a lot of interest. But as we speak, I see now many founders of preschools have started to reach us to say that how can they introduce this, like the question that you put as, simple living habits, into
Yeah.
the school. So that's the state of art today.
So my another question around this is, I feel this is a great initiative and every school should do this, preschool or otherwise, right? K-12 school. Everybody should adopt some sustainability efforts and, try to help the environment. Like now I know that solar panels is becoming more and more common. Groundwater harvesting in schools have become very common. So a lot of new schools coming up, they do groundwater harvesting. They do solar panels. Now some material which cuts the sunlight, because everybody wants a glass facade building. So getting materials which will lessen the heat in the, structure. All those things are happening. But the question is, simple things. I mean, these are all expensive stuff, right? Like solar panels, groundwater harvesting. It requires money. But simple things that you suggested. How do you see this from metros vis-a-vis? Because I see this as a very easy practice in rural and semi-urban areas. But how do you see this in practice in urban societies? Do you think urban societies are designed for us to?
So I'll tell you, now we are currently in conversation with certain K-12 schools who are going to be introduced in India, that there are two aspects to it. One is as a K-12, you can introduce a green campus to start with, because you have to see everything has to be looked with two lenses. One is commercial and one is what is the contribution to society. So from a commercial context, we tell them or we guide them or we advise them that why don't you look at establishing or setting up green campuses, Parents are more vocal, more demanding, looking forward to green campuses. It's a direct health contributor, I would say. Today, if I am being given a choice of a green campus as against a normal cement concrete campus, I would go for a green campus for my child. There's a lot of contribution that takes place, right? Metros, the entire structure of green campus and the teaching that we are talking about are fully equipped today with our research, I can very confidently tell you. And it's not so much of an investment. That's a myth. There is an investment, but over a period of time, if you really see, it's very beneficial.
It pays you back.
It pays you back. It's like an investment you make over, and generally the time period we look for is 4 to 5 years max. That's the max period.
It's a short time.
Maximum. So by the time you're if you're like a K-12, you have investors. By the time you look at an upscale or an upside, that's where you find the payback rate. In fact, we find a lot of foreign investors looking to invest in green campuses, being into a law firm, being homegrown in a corporate culture, being trained and tuned to look at private equity investors. I have interacted with multiple investors across the globe right now who are looking at green investments. So that's I think metros are, in India at least, metros are fully equipped. Especially our southern side, I think at least when you talk about the western side, like Mumbai, space-wise, there are constraints. But if you go towards north, you go towards east, you go towards south, there are huge spaces that are available.
Bombay's outlier.
See, Bombay, I call Bombay as a Frankfurt for India. It's a financial hub. There's limited space. The infrastructure is suitably developed to meet your financial requirements. See, if you look at India as a demography. Look at the entire geography of India. We have immense space.
Yeah,
we really and see the concept that we are trying to talk, introduce, cultivate is, now we see a lot of preschools, they call themselves as gurukuls. I've come across N preschools. So, it's all, while we are moving towards an AI age, I see there's a amazing blend of, past and forward that's taking. So, your experiences are getting clubbed with, what is the future that you're looking at. So, it's you future thinking, you're so forward thinking that, you are actually looking from the future to build your coming time. So, that's a beautiful part I find. You see, AI is complete future. And clubbing that with the experience, Gurukuls have had, and, getting that to now is something I think is amazing.
No, I agree that, we as a society are very much in touch with our roots, and we are very proud of it, right? So, irrespective of north, south, east, west, everybody wants to be in touch with their roots. Everybody wants to be as Indian as possible. At the same time, we are also very forward looking, and that's why adaptation of technology is very quick. I agree at the part where we love our culture and we wear our culture on our sleeve, but when it comes to taking care of the nature or environmental awareness, there are still a lot of places where there's a lot of work yet to be done. And without sounding too negative and without getting into the politics of it or the negativity of it, uh, tourist places, you see how sometimes they become so dirty. Small example, beaches of Goa, right? Everybody goes to Goa to have a good time. They'll just ruin the place and come away. Go to the mountains, throw rubbish. Nobody's gonna go down the hill to clean it. So there is still some issue with us as far as understanding sustainability is concerned. So, but this is a great medium. What are your views on it, and how do you see this? I see this definitely going against our core ethos of Indianness, because where Western societies build their entire societies based on polluting the world, India still per capita wastage is far lower than any Western society, right?
Yes.
So we are there, but because of the sheer amount of population that we have, the impact that we see is much higher. Like, it's visible. It's not impact is higher, but it's much more visible.
It's more visible.
Yeah. So what's your views and what's your thought process around it?
I'll again go back to the same subject matter to say that we were not grown with the discipline of sustainability. We learnt it at very later stage of life. We always had community living, moral science, all of this as subject matter of our school studies, our school curriculum, and that stayed with us. It stayed, it moved, it transformed, everything happened with it, right? This was not a part, we learnt a little bit on ozone depletion and all, but we never saw that, okay, we are losing on, our future completely being deprived of, there's only one thing I remember, at least in my time of studies, is ozone depletion.
Yeah.
Energy conservation, water conservation, soil conservation.
Some water conservation, yes.
But that was more on the harvesting side, that what are the techniques to save water, but not coming from the place or the source of it being that there is no water left for the future. Not coming, we are not having enough rains. See, today as we speak, we are running high risk of climate uncertainties. India no longer experiences 3 seasons. We have shifted, but our school curriculum still teaches us summer, rains, winter.
Correct.
But if you see, we are not in 3 weather season anymore. We've moved from that. We've completely moved. In winters, we keep experiencing rains. Our summers, entire June ends and we are still in summers. We cannot call ourselves that June to September is a monsoon season in India.
Yeah.
So you really see
And scary.
It's very scary. The shifts have already happened. It's so visible, but it's not been integrated in the formal learning system. That's where, early childhood, at least exposure and awareness. I'm saying nothing more beyond, but at least exposure and awareness is very critical. That's all that we need to create. And like you already said, population correlating to more of visibility, but in terms of real-time data and research, in terms of real-time low capita wastage, India is number 1.
Yeah.
India is not on the higher end.
Definitely, I agree to that.
On the higher
so
end.
When you see, not you, I will say, when people see a lot of reels of Indians throwing rubbish and this and that, of course for optics and to get better views on reels, it's great, but per capita wastage of Indians is far lower. You are saying we are one of the lowest in the world, right?
I would say we are at least third, not first, but third for sure. We are third.
Yeah, we are the third best, not third worst, but third best in the world, right? So, and I think it's commendable, right? Because it's part of our DNA. Some things that we've learned culturally, but it's not enough, and that's why people like you come in and say, can we make it more? Because, that's how you can save.
See, any change or any transformation calls for a lot of challenges. This is going to be a transformation for India. It's not going to be a simple change. It's going to be a transformation journey for India. You just sort of see personally in our regular living, how much attention do we give to sustainability?
I mean,
We do not have minimalization in our thinking itself. The amount of shopping we go, see, as soon as you go with a minimalistic approach, you know the lens with which you are looked upon, changes completely. And we are more worried about the lens that we are being looked upon through rather
Correct.
than who we want to be.
Yeah, and I think it's simple habits. So, you know what, while I'm talking to you, I'm just realizing that sometimes while I'm brushing, my tap is still on, right? And it's a simple thing, just one tap of the hand, right? And it'll be shut. It's just such a half a second change that I need, and I can become part of, sustainability. And for my kids and my kids, it'll be a great initiative. But yeah, it's as simple as that. So, I mean, great, you're working with schools, preschools. Now, tell me, do you feel as a lawyer that our education system is not doing enough to teach sustainability? You touched it upon when we were talking about it, that we learned about saving water or better usage of water. We spoke about ozone layer depletion. Sometimes we also talk about fossil fuel. I remember, vaguely in the 9th and 10th grade, we spoke about fossil fuels, that use less cars, use public transport. We still all have 2 to 3 cars, right? The people who can have it, right? Nobody's saying that I'll have one car. Like in some of the Western nations, people still prefer public transport, but not in our country, right? It's a status symbol. Like what you were also talking about, that sometimes we do it because we want to show or project ourselves in a certain way. It has only gone back to us, right? Year on year. Preschool part is fine. Do you think that you, when I say you, I mean as a law firm and as your sector, people who are into law should also speak about how, and maybe people from my sector should also start talking more about sustainability, about environmental awareness, and create it more, formalize it, because okay, let me give you an example. When lockdown came, right, the slowest sector in this country is education, right? Nothing moves. But when lockdown came, every school went online, right? There was no law which said you go online, because it was a requirement. And I think as Indians, we are very resilient people, and we are also very quick in adaptation. So if you have to adapt to something or adopt ourselves, we'll be the first ones to do it. So I'm hoping that we don't have to go through climate extremes to become more aware. I'm saying that just by forcing this as part of education, or forcing this as part of subject you have to learn, I think a lot more awareness will come. I don't know what's your view on it.
Anything that's mandatory in nature has an effect multiple times more than what is voluntary.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. Along with sustainability, I run an ESG practice within the organization, which is predominantly for corporates as well.
What is ESG, if you can elaborate?
ESG is environment, social governance. Okay, for as lawyers, governance always existed. It's just that we did not park it under the G of governance as all the laws existed. It was all over the place, fragmented, spaced out, right?
Okay.
E and S, of course, environment and social. As a law firm, we have a very strong employment law practice. So, social was a part again for the law firm, but we never sort of parked it under the social part of it. What has happened in the long term is ESG has become a buzzword in India. Gradually, yes, things are picking up, but what we see is what is mandatory under the legal structure is something that's being looked upon, that it's something have to do. But something which is voluntary and good to do is something, okay, I still have time on hand to look for it. I go the reverse way. Today, if you see, you just mentioned, just a couple of seconds back, you mentioned that, we have 3 cars, 2 cars, how are we going about it? Prime Minister is urging pool. Please pool, use use public transport. But till he puts some structure in place for it, something which is mandatory, legal, that you cannot have or you should not have or you cannot do, it's not going to take its place.
Yeah.
But in a school environment, I'm coming back because we're talking on the subject matter. If we just simply teach our kids, okay, we 5 kids, we can pool together and get to your school. It's a simple teaching. As the question can be, okay, I can go by myself. It's more luxury for me. I can go my time, I can go my way, and I can reach my time.
Yeah.
But it's just those simple teaching. That's also sustainability. And the moment you sort of create a curriculum around it, which comes from the policy makers, it has a different impact, a different force.
So you do believe that we need to be more, we should be more urgent in teaching our kids about.
It is an immediate ask. It's an urgent situation.
It's not like we are not talking about our children's children. We are talking about our children will face environmental hardships if we don't act today.
Our children will face. It's not children.
Yeah, that's what I agree. I agree, and yeah, I think what you're saying is correct. That if that urgency or if that forcefulness is not there, then maybe we won't, because it's cool to have your own car rather than going by bus.
Yeah, so actually it's more about convenience. Like I said, there's one lens of luxury, there's one lens of convenience. So probably if we are able to alter those lens, but those lens, either they can start at your preschool level or they can start at home. At home, probably I believe that with whatever limitations, restrictions and reservations, parents these days are, the mass parents, I would say, sort of getting their kids to, if it starts at a formal environment like a school, and I see a lot of schools, maybe they have not sort of given it a nomenclature of a sustainability teaching or an ESG teaching, but they are trying to introduce. I see, in last couple of months, I would have visited more than 10 preschools, I would say, and I see in some form or the other, even without nomenclating it as sustainability, they are making an effort, because they also see that it's an urgent need and it's an urgent ask of the environment.
Yeah.
You see, we don't have parkings, we don't have vehicles to sort of stay back, so it's the need of the hour. Like you said, adaptability comes with as urgency as this.
Yeah. So now, which brings me to something that I read somewhere. It says that culture is what we tolerate as a group. That becomes culture,
Yes.
right? So if our culture will be to tolerate that it's okay for wastage, which I think societally or as Indians we don't waste, right? Even if I talk about my grandparents to my children, all of us are like ingrained this wastage is not good. So we don't tolerate wastage, but I think it's more like aligning it and making it make more awareness about the causes and actions of, if you do certain things, what will be the causes of it or what will be the reaction. I think that alignment needs to come more strongly.
And I also think one thing very strongly, the moment the preschool founders sort of take this up as a subject and kids carry this back home, they will have parents coming back giving feedback. It is such a beautiful thing that if you start practicing that at home, I don't see even one parent's not being happy with the.
No, definitely. As I said, our culture is that we don't like wastage, right? It's just that it's not connected right now. That by doing this, how is it going to benefit?
It's only where we are struggling is, and this is simple. Like I said, sustainability is a vast topic. But I'm talking in context to toddlers. You tell me any one toddler at home placing out that, okay, I'm not going to waste food. It's a glorious moment for the parent.
Yes, it's a milestone.
And
right?
they'll go back to the school of what a wonderful thing what I could not do, you've done it.
Yeah, correct. And you're right. And children at this age, and I'm telling you from my own experience, while I was running preschool, my kids never used to listen to me. They used to say, no, but my teacher told me to do this, so I have to do this. So teachers all the more have that much responsibility, because at that age, for a child, parent can be wrong, but teacher cannot be wrong.
Teacher cannot be wrong. And I'll tell you the awareness they spread. I'll give you a very simple example. My child at home tells my domestic help, please use the trash to discard that. Do not collect it out there. And I know he's learnt it from the school.
School.
I never taught him that.
Correct.
He'll tell that, please use the green trash. And he questions me, when the trash is being taken, why are they taking it all together? Why no green trash, going in green trash? So you see the kind of very, very simple questions, very ignorant, very raw questions they ask, open up so much of thought process in an adult that I see.
Correct. Yeah. So I think right age, what you guys are doing is really good, commendable. So what this makes me think is that because the way our society is structured, for corporates there's something called CSR, right? And it's compulsory. So it's mandated by law. So all corporates will strive to do some CSR activity. They'll have to have some budget for CSR. And they have to also show in their books that this is what we did, and it's part of their auditing. Now, ESG is not mandatory for schools. It's voluntary. I know this because if you apply for a new school building, there are certain things that you'll have to do, like you have to show some
kind of saving of energy or water,
some
or
sustainability
angle,
right? That solar panels or groundwater harvesting, or
you're not contributing emissions to the environment.
Correct. Something or the other. But again, I think this is more voluntary. I don't think so. There is a law around it.
There is no mandate. That's exactly what I'm saying. So if some kind of an introduction comes in from the government, where preschools are required to have a campus which speaks to about green, so that the campus itself speaks about it. And secondly, if they come out with something that it can be a freestyle teaching as well. You don't need to be a part of a NEP or anything else, but every preschool to at least introduce water saving, energy saving, emissions in the environment, these kind of concepts. If the introduction is being introduced in the school for early 3 years, say from 15-month to a 3-year-old, I think that kind of a request being made through the podcast is something can be safe.
Yeah, see, I think NEP covers and it's a beautiful document. It covers a lot of things.
Yes.
And at the same time, it gives schools a lot of flexibility. Right? But again, NEP is voluntary. It's a framework. Right? So it's not like you have to do it. And within the framework, there's a lot of scope to add sustainability, lot of scope to add awareness about the nature, right? So it can be, right? And of course, if
one thing, sorry, I'm breaking you, but very important thing that comes to mind, we are having foreign universities set up campuses in India. Most of them, out of the 15, you see that 5 of them are setting up green campus in India. So probably it's high time that India realizes that the institutions or the universities or the campuses that are being set up in India itself should be green, rather than we having foreign universities coming and setting up green campuses in India. That's one part of it. Second part of it is, it allows a lot of added advantage to that particular, some kind of introduction, like you have some kind of a subsidy, some kind of a benefit that comes out of you establishing a green campus. Like if you establish in a gift city, like today a Clay establishing a chain in India. Clay I'm taking because it's easier for you to resonate with it, right? They are looking at establishing green campuses across their chains now. So it is something that is very incentivizing, because in India incentives work very great.
Yeah.
That is something, but I don't know whether the podcast is a safe way to.
So anybody from the right ministry is listening to us, maybe think about this.
We have provided a white paper to ministry already on these lines, that why don't you provide some kind of subsidy for, like you said, you're looking at having a K-12 in India. So if you provide some kind of incentives to K-12s or subsidies to K-12 who are setting up green campus in India, it's a beautiful concept. It's a win-win situation for the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that schools can do, and with the right motivation. And this could be a financial. Then nothing beats financial motivation.
See,
right?
we're talking about green financing. We're talking about green bonds. We talk about social financing for people who are looking to raise finances for establishing whatever business they want to do. So, see, anything new that needs to be introduced is always associated with some kind of financing. पैसे के बिना आप क्या करोगे?
Correct. It has to make economic sense. Otherwise,
it has to make you can talk on social aspects, you can talk on subjective terms as much as you want. You can go on giving speech about it, but unless it's making a commercial sense or an economic sense, it's not going to be sustainable.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in India, schools cannot be commercial. It has to be not for profit, right? So the commercial angle is totally cut out, right? And the argument is like it's a basic necessity, right? So point is, if education is a basic necessity, so is food, clothing, and shelter. But you don't have that sort of regulation in food, clothing, and shelter, right? Where the government goes after the sector because, hey, this is a basic necessity. How many times have they gone after builders and said, you can't make profit because this is a basic necessity? Where will my population live?
You came up with affordable housing, and you can keep on arguing with all of that.
But then that's fine. You come up with affordable schooling, but there could also be schools which can be incentivized to do something better for the environment.
That's exactly what I'm trying. Right? And I'm saying to the extent that CSR funding, align it to sustainability and ESG goals where it's school driven. And give them those kind of benefits that, so see, like I'm again repeating, if something is incentivizing, it's always proactive. If you say that, to any, or like a Mahindra, he is introducing his entire CSR into sustainability with townships, residential, commercial. His entire CSR is aligned to sustainability. It's with, I would say with, it's one arrow, two bows, one arrow kind of a string that he's using. हम CSR भी कर देते हैं और sustainability भी achieve कर लेते हैं.
Nice.
Why not with the schools like that? Yeah. Wherever corporates are introducing CSR and they sort of invest in ESG goals or sustainability goals of preschools, it's going to be an automatic streamlining of the system. See, while we have given white paper and all and conversations are around it, but we need a lot of mass reach to communicate this because it requires pressure coming from parents, educators, all sides. See, today for a Data Privacy Act to be introduced in India, it took 8 years. With such a massive population, we did not have a law around privacy.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Shocking. Yeah.
It's shocking.
Yeah. And
so is the subject matter here, and that's why maybe you want to touch upon this subject as a last.
No, so as much as my heart is in what you're saying, but I from within the sector, what I do feel is that it's already a very complex and complicated structure. Whereas schools personally might be very happy to do what they're doing because most schools are run by passionate people, and they want to make a difference, and if they can make a difference to the environment, and then why not, right? They would do it. But the minute we add some other complication to it, as it is not an easy structure. It's not an easy structure, right? People, and in every podcast I say this, that why would somebody who's educated, who can do something else and make money and have a good life, use his or her own capital and get into education? Because it is one of the slowest sectors, right? You put in the money, by the time you recover that, it takes time, plus you can never make profit. So then why would talented people choose education, right? Of course they can choose to be teachers, but they would never choose that as an entrepreneurial journey, right? They'd say, no, I can go and be an advisor somewhere and take a small salary.
I'm not investing as
a business. But I'm not investing, right? And so the point is that, financial, what you said, that, if government comes with some things or some initiatives or some incentives, it may help because for them to recover their investments quicker. But apart from that, I do feel it's a complicated structure. I think we are almost done with our time. So the other part is, which is your main job, right? Being a lawyer, writing white papers around all these things. Do you think students are taught enough law? Again, because law is such a vast subject, and there's so many streams to it: criminal law, civil law and corporate law, and we don't want to get into all that. Then personal religious law. Let's not go all over there. Basic stuff like I remember uh, when I was a student studying in school. The only thing I remember is that preamble, right? All Indians are my brothers, and that was only the sort of like a charter of rights that I knew. Apart from that, I don't remember anything. I vaguely remember something about freedom of speech, but I don't think so. Our students, if you meet, and I was watching some, and I'm just elaborating, I was just watching some protest in the last 2-3 days, whatever is happening, the Gen Z protests and all that. And I just realized that a lot of people actually don't know the law. So, whereas that protest and all, I'm not commenting on that part. What I'm trying to comment on is that a lot of people going even for protests don't know basics about law. And these are not 8-year-old, 10-year-old kids. They were like 20, 30-year-old people also not knowing enough about law. So where do you see, or how do you see this improving, right? Do you think as schools we should teach something more than just understanding rights? And how do we introduce, or how do we make citizens more informed?
What you're talking about is again where we started with, that awareness of that right comes with responsibility. It is the core to anything. And see, the preamble, the charter, it's not about right. Like if I say freedom of speech, in a general parlance, if you see, freedom of speech means it's a venting house. You have free rights to vent. Whomsoever, whatsoever you want, you can start talking.
Yeah.
It's not that. Freedom of speech means being informed, being aware, speaking an expression of interest with responsibility. That can become a part even of your sustainability teaching, that when you are communicating, you need to communicate. That's your social, being a social animal. You need to communicate with responsibility, with awareness, with information. Not randomly venting out means freedom of speech.
Yeah, it should not be complaining about X, Y, and Z. It should be what the problem is and how are we gonna.
And simple, freedom of speech is not equivalent to venting.
Okay.
That's how it's being, utilized or used in a common parlance. You tell anybody is abusing, I have freedom of speech. No, that's not freedom of speech. Like I said, rights.
Give a more elaborate example.
I'll tell you. No, I cannot give this example here. It was media. I have to be careful.
Yeah. No, so I'll give you a context, and then maybe you give me an example. I say same thing. I would complain about the quality of air not being nice, right? And I would go and start blaming right from corporates to the government and not doing enough. Now, I can say this is my freedom of speech, but you're saying that is not freedom of speech.
That is not. What is freedom of speech is, in this context, your expression of interest that I see the environment is polluted, the quality of air is not appropriate. Probably I can start doing this and I need this support to do this. That is freedom of speech, because there's an expression of interest clubbed with responsibility and a statement that you are making with full awareness and information. So you see the elements, Chitu, that has formed a part of this entire expression. Responsibility,
and not sit like a outsider.
Awareness, information, accountability. Like I said, rights always come clubbed with responsibility.
And it should not be like talking like an outsider or somebody who's outside the system.
Don't sit on the fence and keep
blaming everyone else.
Chow.
Yeah. So
because that's the easiest work you can do. Be on the field, take accountability, take the responsibility of doing something, and then express yourself. And that is what law tells you, that is what law communicates. And like I said, that can become a part of your sustainable social teaching.
And that can become part of the curriculum. Now see, as easy as that, it took me 1 minute to understand what freedom of speech is.
And if you really see, when outside we go, someone is abusing, it's my right. I need you to tell me this right to information act. My right to no, that's not right to information. who are you, what is your accountability, in what accountability do you want that information, what are you going to do with that. That is right to information.
Yeah, not to create trouble.
Not to create a ruckus around the entire thing and giving it an episode kind of
Yeah.
feature and shape. That is not right to information.
Yeah, so I definitely feel that things like right to information, freedom of speech, that could be taught in, say, secondary school, right? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And these are very basics of how citizens can be more informed, including what.
I'm telling you, Jeetu, it can be introduced in more early. Today, if a toddler is telling you, I want this, great, I want to give you this. Why you want this? What are you going to do with this? How will you take care of this? Responsibility, accountability, information, awareness, everything is formed a part of that conversation without even using those words.
Those words. Interesting. Yeah.
Like I said, every adjective that we use has to be combined and complemented with responsibility. Very important. And you do not have to use words. It's an element that sort of seamlessly passes into the conversation.
Yeah.
That is what is law.
Yeah, and you make it sound very simple, but I'm sure you studied really hard to reach where you are. But no, this was amazing, and I learned a lot, especially in terms of my own responsibilities as a citizen. And I think I'm more aware now that as a entrepreneur who's in the education sector, how we can also incorporate some of your ideas, including your ESG, and how we can also align with you. So thank you very much. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it, and that's about it. Do you want to say any parting words to our viewers?
My parting words to all the viewers is one request, and I think I have multiple times made this statement during the entire show, is that any statement, any jargon, any word, any right that we want to use, any adjective during our being we want to use it with, complement it with responsibility. The moment you complement it with responsibility and accountability, it's a very valuable statement, a very valuable being that you sort of exercise in your own self. It's extremely important that when we are in a conversation, when we are in an expression, when we are in an interaction, when we are in a asking mode, we are in a demanding mode, we complement it with responsibility. Everything sort of streamlines automatically.
So Ms. Sangeeta, it was awesome talking to you. I'm sure my audience have learned a lot about sustainability, about all the other initiatives that you're doing. I think we need more people like you, who apart from whatever they are doing in their busy schedule, still find time for their passion. And I think sustainability, thinking about the future of our children, I think it's amazing. Hats off to you and your team. Thank you very much for chatting with us.
Thanks to you, Jeetu. It's been a privilege to be here on your show. And like I said, it's passion turned privilege, I would call, as a practice. So those are the 3 P's that got invented over a period of time. I really want to acknowledge my entire team, who sort of have been through me within this journey. I really want to acknowledge one person who sort of gave, I would say, shape to this journey, gave some figures and some designs to this journey. Mr. Saket Khaitan and Mr. Sanjeev Singhal. They have been really the 2 pillars who sort of saw this vision along with me and sort of took me forward on this journey. So that's my delight.
No, brilliant. More power to you and your team and your friends and your partners who are doing this. So that was it. That was yet another episode of Education Matters by JK. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much.